So here's the scenario. You just defeated a great nation in battle and decided to take what you presumed as their item of power, give it to them by their god, and placed it into the temples of your people's gods. But ever since that item arrived in the temple, the strange phenomenon happens where all the statues of your gods bow down to this item with their head and palms cut off. So you decide to send it to another sister city within your nation to keep it. But as soon as it reaches there, that city is struck with great calamity. So you decide it's too much trouble to keep and it's best to send it back to the nation you defeated. But what's the best way to send it back? Especially to know that what was happening to your people was from the god of the other people? Well, of course, it's to send it back on the back of 2 milk cows without any human interference. That way you will know for sure. 1 Samuel chapter 4-6 tells us the story of the time the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant from Israel after defeating them in battle. It also tells us about the calamity that came upon the Philistines when they did not honor it the way it was supposed to be honored, as they saw it as just another item of power given to Israel by their God. What exactly were the calamities and how was the Ark of the Covenant supposed to be honored? Well, we'll elaborate on that in a little bit. But if you are intrigued thus far, then please consider leaving a like and even subscribing with post notifications to never miss an upload. On the channel, we break down fictional media from a Christian perspective with emphasis on stories that twist the Bible. But rather than just continuously digging in and revealing how Marvel and other fictional franchises twist the word of God into their plots, dialogue, and themes, we are on a pivoting mission to also cover more generalized Christian content, as well as this mini-series where we cover different unsung Bible characters and filler stories. We also do live streams making replicas of different Bible locations in the same game engine that Fortnite, Gotham Knights, and other well-known games use. But that's enough selling out. Let's get into this installment of the unsung Bible characters and filler stories you probably won't hear about in a church sermon brought to you by the Xplanations. Yes, working title TM, where we're going to take a look at the 2 milk cows who returned the Ark of the Covenant. And for this installment, we'll be reading from 1 Samuel chapter 5-6 in the ESV. Now, for context before we get into the chapters, this story takes place during the time when Eli was a judge over Israel. Samuel was still a boy according to chapter 3 and became the next judge when Eli died after hearing about the death of his sons which Samuel did prophesy to him. Israel decided on their own accord to take a fight against the Philistines and was badly defeated. Then they decided to fight again, only this time carrying the Ark of the Covenant into battle with them, and they lost again, with this time the Philistines taking the Ark of the Covenant back with them. When the Philistines captured the Ark of God, they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then the Philistines took the Ark of God and brought it into the house of Dagon and set it beside Dagon. And when the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, behold, Dagon had fallen face downward on the ground before the Ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him back in his place. But when they rose early on the next morning, behold, Dagon had fallen face downward on the ground before the Ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both his hands were lying cut off on the threshold. Only the trunk of Dagon was left to him. This is why the priests of Dagon and all who enter the house of Dagon do not tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. So let's take a pause on the scripture to explain what is the Ark of the Lord. In the book of Exodus, it documents that God made a covenant with the children of Israel through his servant Moses. He promised good to them and their children for generations if they obeyed him and his laws. But he always warned of despair, punishment, and dispersion if they were to disobey. As a sign of his covenant, he had the Israelites make a box according to his own design, in which to place the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments. This box or chest was called an ark and was made of acacia wood overlaid with gold. The ark was to be housed in the inner sanctum of the tabernacle in the desert and eventually in the temple when it was built in Jerusalem. This chest is known as the Ark of the Covenant or the Ark of the Testimony. The Ark of the Testimony, according to various passages in the Old Testament, represented the presence of God with his people, and his power went with them wherever they took the ark. However, the power was not in the Ark of the Testimony itself. The ark only represented the presence of God with his people. The Ark of the Covenant was not a good luck charm whose power could be had by whoever captured his ark. A statement that I really liked in the footnotes of my Holman's New King James Version study Bible to 1 Samuel 4:3 reads, "The people associated the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord with God's presence, and they assumed taking the Ark into battle would guarantee victory over their enemies. This is the equivalent of trying to manipulate God through a magical talisman." And that's why I started this video proposing a scenario as one nation trying to use another nation's item of power. Continuing from verse 6, "The hand of the Lord was heavy against the people of Ashdod, and he terrified and afflicted them with tumors, both Ashdod and its territory. And when the men of Ashdod saw how things were, they said, 'The ark of the God of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand is hard against us and against Dagon our God.' So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, 'What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel?' They answered, 'Let the ark of the God of Israel be brought around to Gath.' So they brought the ark of the God of Israel there. But after they had brought it around, the hand of the Lord was against the city, causing a very great panic, and he afflicted the men of the city, both young and old, so that tumors broke out on them. So they sent the ark of God to Ekron. But as soon as the ark of God came to Ekron, the people of Ekron cried out, 'They have brought around to us the ark of the God of Israel to kill us and our people.' They sent therefore and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, 'Send away the ark of the God of Israel and let it return to its own place, that it may not kill us and our people.' For there was a deadly panic throughout the whole city. The hand of God was very heavy there. The men who did not die were struck with tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven." We see here that the Philistines took the ark hoping its power would help them. They set it in their idol's temple and waited for the good luck it would bring, but it only brought calamity upon them because they also saw it akin to a talisman that the Israelites used in battle to invoke their God who gave them victory. In chapter 4, verse 7 to 9, it says, "The Philistines were afraid, and they said, 'A god has come into the camp.' And they said, 'Woe to us, for nothing like this has happened before. Woe to us! Who can deliver us from the power of these mighty gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with every sort of plague in the wilderness. Take courage and be men, O Philistines, lest you become servants to the Hebrews as they have been to you. Be men and fight." Continuing to chapter 6, the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us with what we shall send it to its place." They said, "If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it empty, but by all means return him a guilt offering. Then you will be healed, and it will be known to you why his hand does not turn away from you." And they said, "What is the guilt offering that we shall return to him?" They answered, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For the same plague was on all of you and on your lords. So you must make images of your tumors and images of your mice that ravage the land, and give the glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten his hand from off you and your gods and your land. Why should you harden your heart as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their heart? After he had dwelt severely with them, did they not send the people away and they departed? And this right here is my favorite part. "Now then, take and prepare a new cart and 2 milk cows on which there has never come a yoke, and yoke the cows to the cart, but take their calves home away from them, and take the ark of the Lord and place it on the cart, and place in a box at its side the figures of gold, which you are returning to him as a guilt offering. Then send it off and let it go its way, and watch. If it goes up on the way to its own land to Beth-Shemesh, then it is he who has done us this great harm. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that struck us. It happened to us by coincidence." So to fully understand the significance and thought process of this decision, I'll read another footnote from my Bible. The Philistines put forth one final test with a cat and 2 cows with calves to make sure the plagues had come from the Lord's hands. Untrained cows would not normally know how to work together to pull a cart on a road, and they would not normally leave their calves behind. So in their minds, if the cows actually went towards Israel, then they knew for sure that it was God. If not, then it happened to us by coincidence. I know it is a small and minor detail, which is why I call this series Unsung Bible Stories, but when I read these small things, they just give me a good laugh when I realize the thinking process of the people in these stories, which makes my personal Bible study a real treat. Like I be laughing in my room at the top of my lungs when I read certain passages, and this is one of them. I don't know if it's only me, let me know in the comments if you are the same way too, but let's move along. Then the men did so and took the 2 cows and yoked them to the cart and shut up the calves at home. And they put the Ark of the Lord on the cart and a box with the golden mice and the images of their tumors, and the cows went straight in the direction of Beth-Shemesh along one highway, lowing as they went. They turned neither to the right nor to the left, and the lords of the Philistines went after them as far as the border of Beth-Shemesh. Now the people of Beth-Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and when they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, they rejoiced to see it. The cart came into the field of Joshua of Beth-Shemesh and stopped there. A great stone was there, and they split up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the box that was beside it, in which were the golden figures, and set them upon the great stone. And the men of Beth-Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrificed sacrifices on that day to the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines saw it, they returned that day to Ekron. These are the golden tumors that the Philistines returned as a guilt offering to the Lord. 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Gaza, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron, and the golden mice according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both fortified cities and unwalled villages. The great stone beside which they set down the ark of the Lord is a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth-Shemesh. And he struck some of the men of Beth-Shemesh because they looked upon the ark of the Lord. He struck 70 men of them, and the people mourned because the Lord had struck the people with a great blow. Then the men of Beth-Shemesh said, "Who is able to stand before the Lord this holy God? And to whom shall he go up away from us?" So they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath-Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it to you." And the men of Kiriath-Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord and brought it to the house of Abinadab on the hill. And they consecrated his son Eleazar to take care of the ark of the Lord. For the day that the ark was lodged at Kiriath-Jearim, a long time passed, some 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. Oftentimes when you read through passages like these in the Old Testament, it's easy to go, wow, the Israelites and all their enemies were dumb. How can they ever think of God like a good luck charm? I thought that myself when I first read it, but then I began to feel convicted because sometimes we ourselves treat God as a good luck charm. Like obviously we are under the new covenant and aren't toting a huge golden box into battle. But sometimes we get so caught up in life on a whole, especially when things are going good. We only go to God when things are dire and we are being metaphorically defeated by whatever it may be. Going to him with the expectancy that he will fix things. Sometimes we even go to him with our own convoluted plans or battles that we clearly should not have taken in the first place. And we expect him to work it out because in those periods we are praying and fasting fervently. Then as soon as he fixes things, we put him right back down. During these perilous times, the YouVersion Bible streak ain't got nothing on us. You're in your word consistently, but when things are good, I'm too tired, I'll read it tomorrow. Then you're about 10 tomorrows into another week. You go from praying for hours to only realizing you forgot to pray when you reach in your vehicle. Yeah, That's how we use God as a good luck charm. So going forward, let's try not to use God like a good luck charm the way the Philistines thought of the Ark of the Covenant, or the way the Israelites went into battle with it like it's some kind of super weapon. You get what I mean? I hope you do. Because that's it for this installment of the unsung Bible characters and filler stories you probably won't hear about in a church sermon brought to you by Xplanations. Yes, working title TM. I'm still working out the format of the style of video. I think I'm getting close to what I like the most, so any feedback will be greatly appreciated in the comments, as well as recommendations of unsung Bible stories you would like to hear me cover. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more of this series and our other fictional media breakdowns from a Christian perspective. If you're looking for something else on the channel to watch, I highly recommend the very first installment of this series where I explain why I read the Bible like it is a piece of fiction. Link to that video will be in the end card in about 10 seconds. But as we end off, remember, these videos are not to tell you what you can and cannot watch, read, or play, as that is your decision to make, but it's so that you simply no longer blindly consume.